In today's video, we're going to be ranking each Championship club's most expensive signing from the summer, and we're going to be throwing them all into the following tier list. So this is the tier list we're going to be throwing each player into, whether I think they've been a flop, I need to see more, the jury's still out, it was solid business, they were a good signing, or a top signing. Your record transfer from the summer, which tier would you personally place them into? We'll go through these in order, starting out with Blackburn's Maktar Gueye. Overall, I'd probably say that's been solid business from Blackburn. If I was just judging him from his performances from sort of the start of 2025 onwards, I'd probably move him up a tier, but I do think it took him a little bit of time to acclimatise to the level. It's usually the case when especially strikers come into the Championship for their first season in England. There was a period from sort of August to the start of January where I think he only scored 1 goal in 22 appearances, but since the turn of the year, I think he's been on a decent run of form for Blackburn. He's got 6 goals this season, has 6 assists as well, and to be fair, even when he doesn't score, he can still have an impact on games. He's such a presence in the final third. Now working under a manager like Valérien Ismaël especially, I can definitely see that there's more to come from him, probably, going into next season. Tommy Conway was Middlesbrough's most expensive signing from the summer. I'd probably put him down as a good signing for the money that Borough paid. He is currently their top scorer in the Championship. He's on 11 goals right now. In the Championship, he's averaging a goal every 150 minutes, which I think is a more than decent strike rate. Considering as well, I do think there has probably been a lack of quality number 9s in the league this season. Obviously, in January, we saw Middlesbrough losing their best forward in Latte Lath going out. But Conway, 11 goals at this point of the season. Your first season at Borough, that's not too shabby. Next up, we go to Ivanovic, Millwall's most expensive signing from the summer. He's a similar one to Maktar Gueye, you know, where if I was just judging this signing from sort of 2025 onwards, I'd probably have him in this tier. But overall, right now, I'd probably have him in the solid business category. Similar story to Maktar Gueye. I think it probably did take him a little bit of time to acclimatise to the level, which is more than natural, you know, when you're quite a young forward coming into the Championship for your first season. But there have definitely been real moments of quality from him in a Millwall shirt. He's only got 6 goals so far this season, but most of them have been decent strikes. He scored a really good free kick against my side, Preston North End. And I saw a stat the other week as well. I believe he's got the most match winners of any Championship player this season as well, which is really impressive. So all the goals he scored for Millwall have been absolutely vital in them picking up points. You can make an argument to push him up a tier, but overall, I think it's been solid business, but definitely more to come from him as well. Similar story for Antti Kranac at Norwich as well. Going to put him into solid business, but with the look to maybe move him up to good signing. We may jiggle around a few of these at the end of the tier list. Once again, quite a similar story with these two as well. A forward coming into the Championship for his first season at this level. Took him a little bit of time to acclimatise, but I think his performances have been getting better as the season's gone on. And as is often the case with players that Norwich buy from abroad, it usually takes them a season or so to bed in, and then next season they go absolutely massive. You know, I wouldn't be that surprised if next season he scores 20 goals or something like that, maybe. Next up then to Rami Al-Haj at Plymouth. I'm definitely putting him in one of the bottom 3 categories, aren't I? He has got 3 goals so far this season, but overall performances I don't feel like have been brilliant, especially taking into consideration he was their most expensive signing in the summer. You look at that squad right now and think where those funds could have been invested elsewhere and they could be in a better position right now. Tempted to say he has been a bit of a flop, really. It's between flop and jury's out, I think. The problem I have is in a lot of the games where he has started, especially of late, he's just not really made that much of an impact. More often than not, he gets hooked on the 60-minute mark as well. When you're supposed to be that side's talisman, you know, coming in as the biggest signing over the summer, you maybe do expect a little bit more, don't you? Is that just confirmation bias, though, because Plymouth are bottom of the table right now? Maybe. Plymouth fans, what have you made of him so far? Because there have been moments of quality, but have those just been a bit too few and far between? Kamara at Portsmouth, need to see more. He's barely played for them this season. I think he's played just over 100 minutes of Championship football. It's really not enough to make a proper opinion on him. Maybe he's going to be one that features a little bit more in these final weeks of the season. But right now, yeah, need to see more. Can't make much of a judgment. Jeppe Ockels for Preston. I mean, to be fair, we've barely seen him in the Championship either, but I am going to put that one down as a flop because it does look like his Preston career could already be over. He came in over the summer as our most expensive transfer. Ryan Lowe had literally just left the club when we got this deal over the line as well. Obviously then Paul Heckingbottom comes in, clearly doesn't fancy him. He's just not a player that suits our system. He's headed out on loan to Aberdeen and they have the option to buy him at the end of the season. So it's a shame really. In the Cup we saw a couple of flashes of quality from him, but overall I think this one will go down as a flop signing, especially considering how much we paid for him. Nicholas Madsen up next for QPR. He's been another one that has been low-key a bit of a flop this season as well, considering he was QPR's most expensive signing over the summer and he's failed to make much of an impact there this season. He started out the season more often than not in the starting 11, but recently hasn't really been anywhere near that. There have been a few moments of quality from him, but from what I've gathered, more often than not, it seems like games just tend to pass him by a little bit. He could still come good. The only thing I'd say is if QPR were to try and sell him at the end of the season, I don't think they'd get back what they paid for him. So at the moment, I'm going to say jury's still out for him. He has featured a fair bit for QPR this season, to be fair, but considering he was their most expensive signing, jury's still out for that one for me. Harrison Burrows was Sheffield United's most expensive signing over the summer. I think I'm going to put him straight into that top category. Just been a brilliant addition for the Blades, hasn't he? I think most people thought he'd hit the ground running there at Bramall Lane. He's absolutely gone ahead and done that. There were quite a few Championship clubs, to be fair, that were interested in Burrows earlier on in the window. My team, Preston North End, were sniffing around him, but as soon as a club like Sheffield United were interested, I think they were always going to beat off most of the competition, weren't they? He's got 8 goal contributions in the Championship this season. He's played more minutes than any other outfield player for the Blades this season as well. So reliable for them from that left-hand side. Just a very good signing all around, I'd say. Next up, we've got Ugbo at Sheffield Wednesday, and this one pains me to do it, but right now I'd have to say he has been a flop for them. He's played 31 games this season as a striker and still hasn't hit the back of the net, which is absolutely crazy considering how prolific he was for Wednesday in the second half of last season while out on loan. Don't get me wrong, I'm not writing off all these players in this bottom tier. He could still come good at Wednesday, but as of recording this video right now in March 2025, for the money they paid for him, they've just seen no return whatsoever, have they? Whether that's been a confidence issue or something else, it's just not clicked for him this season whatsoever, has it? Which is, yeah, a real shame considering what promise he showed there last season. Scott Twine at Bristol City. I would put into the good signing category, I think. I've always quite liked the look of Scott Twine. I think he's been Bristol City's second most productive, creative player this season in terms of chances created, only behind, I think, Max Bird. Obviously takes a killer of a set piece as well. Often looks to go for a bit of a wonder goal with a long range and strike, doesn't he? That can maybe get a bit frustrating at times, but the only thing I'd probably like to see Twine add a bit more to his game is just getting those more goal contributions. I think up until this point of the season he's got 8 goal contributions, which is a solid return, but I think a player of his quality is capable of upping those numbers a little bit. But if Bristol City are going to get over the line and into the top 6 this season, he's obviously going to have a key role to play in that, and Bristol City have been having a very good season this time around. Stoke signed Bosun Laurel from Celtic over the summer, but he's barely featured for them this season. I'm going to put him into the need to see more category. Had a really good loan spell at Fleetwood Town the other year, but in a Stoke City shirt we've really not seen anything from him so far, so going to leave him in that category for the time being. Very similar thing for Milan Alexic at Sunderland as well. It is the business model for Sunderland to obviously bring in these young and promising players, build them up behind the scenes before they throw them into the starting 11, and we've really just not seen enough of him in a Sunderland shirt so far. You know, he's only played 4 games in the Championship, still 19, so he's obviously someone that Sunderland have bought with the look towards the future, but as of right now we can't really judge that signing. After that we got Swansea's Florian Bianchini. I'm probably going to say maybe jury's out for him at the moment. The majority of his appearances this season have come from the bench, and I totally sympathise with the fact that when that is your role as the sort of impact sub, it is hard to make an impact. He has scored 3 goals so far this season, though has had those moments of quality, albeit probably not on a consistent enough basis for me to put him any higher in this tier list right now. But he's 23 years old, and you'd imagine going into next season he's going to be wanting to push and get into that starting 11 more often, but right now I'd probably say jury's out for him. At Watford, I think it was Pierre Duomo, their most expensive signing from the summer. Need to see more from him, to be honest with you. He's not really featured all too much for the Hornets this season. Only played 236 minutes of Championship football, not really that much to form a solid opinion of him yet. Mikey Johnston at West Brom, I think has been a good acquisition, albeit maybe not quite hit the heights this season in a baggy shirt that were maybe initially expected of him with how well he did in the second half of last season while he was out on loan there. Certainly from an end product point of view, West Brom fans were probably hoping for a little bit more. You know, he's only scored twice in the Championship this season, has got 5 assists, and he has been one of the most productive dribblers in the Championship, which is all worth taking into consideration. I'd say he's at least been solid business so far. If he could up those numbers a little bit more, we're looking in good signing, could even be top signing territory in a year or two to come. But right now, I'd probably say that's about fair. Mike Trezor at Burnley, I mean, this one has just turned out to be an absolutely disastrous signing. He's not even featured in the Championship so far this season, but I'm going to put him into the flop category. Burnley obviously had him on loan in the Premier League last season. They had an obligation to buy him in the summer, and technically, he's the most expensive signing in Championship history. Burnley had to fork out around 16 million to bring him in on a permanent basis, and yeah, he's not contributed whatsoever to Scott Parker's side this season. Shown from his time, I think in Belgium, there is definitely a player in there, but Burnley fans just haven't seen that whatsoever. And considering, yeah, he's a record signing for the Championship, I'm going to have to put him in that bottom category. Jesper Darland was Cardiff's most expensive signing over the summer. Have to be honest, I've not seen that much of him so far this season. I'm probably going to put him into the jury's still out category. He's obviously a centre-half, and Cardiff do have the second worst defensive record in the Championship, albeit he's not been a regular starter this season. I think he's only started in 14 Championship matches, so it is his first season in English football. It feels like there's maybe still more to come from him, but yeah, jury's still out for me at the moment on that one. Next up, we've got Jack Rodoni, who was Coventry's most expensive signing over the summer, and I think I'm going to have to put him into that top signing category. He's got more goal contributions than any other Coventry player this season. He's been involved in 15 goals with 5 goals and 10 assists. He's been one of the most creative players in the Championship this season with 64 chances created, and he's been on a brilliant run of form recently as well. Particularly since Lampard has come in, his numbers have been really good. Zetterstrom was Derby's most expensive capture over the summer. They spent quite a bit of time trying to get this transfer over the line, didn't they, if I remember rightly? To be honest, most of Derby's problems this season have probably been in the final third. Defensively, they've been fairly solid throughout the year. I'd probably have him in the solid business category right now. Most of his underlying statistics have been sort of middling. So in terms of save percentage, goal prevention and things like that, he's ranked in the middle of most Championship goalkeepers this season. Only thing that's maybe let him down a little bit has been his kicking, which does seem to be a bit of a weakness to his game. But overall, I'd say solid for his first season in England. Bellumi was Hull's most expensive signing. I'm going to have to put him into the need to see more category. Really exciting acquisition. Had some brilliant flashes of quality early on, but he's been out injured since November. He's only played 10 Championship matches, so haven't had that much of a sample size to form a massive opinion of him yet, but from what we did see, he looked quite good. It was just a shame that he picked up that injury when he did. Joe Rodon, I'm going to put into the top category. I think most of us anticipated that being a very good signing for Leeds. I think it's turned out to be just that. He's played more minutes for Leeds this season than any other outfield player. He started in all 38 of their league matches, obviously. Did brilliant with the club while on loan there last season. I don't think many Leeds fans would have that many grumblings over him right now. Mark McGuinness at Luton. It was just so much they spent on him, wasn't it? I believe with add-ons included, it was about 10 million Luton paid to Cardiff to get this deal over the line. Obviously, Luton have been so bad this season, but I'm trying not to let that cloud my judgment of him as a player. Pound for pound, he has probably been one of Luton's best players this season. I'm going to put it in solid business. Like I say, I do feel like Luton did overspend on him, but I think he probably has been their best defender this season. He's also got 6 goal contributions from the back as well, which isn't too shabby. Still just feel like, yeah, maybe there was a bit of an overpay there. Finally then, for Siriki Dembele, I'm not going to lie, prior to this weekend that has just gone by, I probably would have added him in the flop category, to be honest with you, considering he was Oxford's most expensive signing over the summer. I don't think he's massively pulled his weight this season, but because he got that winner against Watford and that 3 points could turn out to be so vital come the end of the season, I'm going to bump him up to maybe jury's out. He's only got 2 goal contributions for Oxford this season, which isn't great considering the money they spent on him. I think his performances have been very up and down this season, but he obviously does have that bit of quality as shown by his goal over the weekend, but don't think Oxford have seen that on a consistent basis just yet. But I'd be interested to know from you guys in the comments down below, where would you personally place your biggest summer signing in this tier list? To be honest, there's not too much between these 2 tiers here, good and solid business. You could interchange quite a few of these players, to be honest with you, but this is just on a gut feeling for me personally. But there we have it, guys. That will wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and get all your thoughts on the summer transfers in the comments down below. Other than that though, guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.